Hello, everybody. I hope you are having a fantastic day. I hope it's been a fantastic day. I mean, after all, we all deserve to have a fantastic day. Am I wrong? So, hopefully, people show up. Like it says, we are doing something new on the channel. This is a conservation success story on the bald eagle. And it's the first one of these that I've done. I don't know if I'm going to keep this format or not. We'll see. It will depend on how well this live goes. It may end up that this does not go over very well, but we shall see. Hey, Oto Sawa. Sorry, I'm horrible with names. I'm good. How are you? I am super pumped for this because this particular topic is one that I have been sort of watching over the past several years in my own home state. By the way, this channel is up to 163 subscribers, so that is really amazing. This is just a baby channel, so I am like super pumped. So let's get into today's topic. If you have questions, hold them until the end so that I can get through this without losing my mind. I want to thank my moderator, Carol, for being here. But let's get into it. Currently, the bald eagle is listed as a species of least concern, which is great news. Now, bald eagles were delisted back in August of 2007, meaning that they were removed from the Endangered Species Act. They are still protected, though, by the Migratory Bird Treaty Act and the Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act. But how did we get here, and why did we have to get here in the first place? Let's find out. And we're going to do this through time, sort of a time warp thing. So first off, the Bald Eagle Protection Act was enacted in 1940, and it has been changed here and there since its introduction. So what exactly does this act protect the birds from? Basically, what it means is that you cannot take feathers, you cannot mess with the nest, you can't mess with the eggs, you cannot take, purchase, barter, offer to sell, transport, export, import any live bald eagle or any dead bald eagle or any parts of said animal. And this includes nest and eggs. Now, when it says take, what exactly does it mean? Oh, that's dangerous. When it says take, what does that mean? Because it could mean a lot of different things. But what it means is that you can't pursue, shoot at, poison, wound, kill, capture, trap, collect, molest, or disturb these birds. It's against the law. You can't do it. Or you're not supposed to do it. You also cannot impact or make any alterations to a previously used nest site during the time that the birds are not present. You cannot interfere in normal breeding, feeding, or sheltering of the young. So once the birds have returned, you cannot do anything that might hurt the birds. You can't do anything that would cause the birds injury, death, or abandonment of young. Now, any violation of this act carries with it a $100,000 fine or the imprisonment for 1 year or both. Now, that is at a first offense level. A second violation instantly makes that a felony. Now, that being said, there is a treaty that makes Native Americans allowed to keep the feathers. And they don't. This law also covers golden eagles as well. So that happened in 1940. But what happened next? Well, in 1963 comes along, and now the birds are facing extinction. With just 417 nesting pairs of bald eagles left in the wild. And that is not just in Indiana. This is in the entire lower 48 states. So from California all the way out to Maine, there were just 417 nesting pairs of eagles. Now, they were being hunted, suffering from loss of prey and habitat, as well as the use of DDT, which was threatening their survival. Now, if you don't know what DDT is, DDT was a pesticide that had been used since World War II. It was supposed to be this brand new insecticide that was supposed to be a miracle worker. But it was a pesticide that started having issues with the wildlife, especially birds. Hello, Marie, if I didn't say it already. But it was impacting birds and probably other animals as well, because one of the things that this pesticide does or did is it builds up. It's a bioaccumulator. So it builds up in the tissues. She's here. She just came in. Carol, look and see if you're on top chat or all chat. Somewhere it should say. You want to make sure that anytime that you come into the live, you're always on all chat. Because like my phone doesn't do it automatically. So basically what happens, like I said, is DDT builds up in the body. So basically a prey item would eat something, right? Like it eats an insect. Yeah, if you're in top chat, not everything shows up. You always want to be in all chat. So, yeah. So it accumulates. And so whatever a fish, let's say it's a trout, whatever insect that trout eats, if it has DDT in it, it's going to build up and up and up and up and up. Problem is, DDT was causing problems. The birds were breeding, laying eggs, and then attempting incubation. And I say attempting incubation. What I'm about to show you, disclaimer, is not a bald eagle's egg. Okay? It is not a bald eagle's egg. Don't get yourself upset. So if this were a bald eagle's egg, which it's not, the mother literally would sit on the eggs to incubate, and she would crush the eggs. The chemical DDT was causing the calcium on the egg to get thin. And so mothers were literally, okay, Otto, they were literally breaking their own eggs. Keep in mind that we had been using DDT since World War II. Those nesting birds were losing their offspring due to a chemical. And again, those 417 nesting pairs that I mentioned earlier were in the lower 48 states. From there, we jump to 1967, and we see that the bald eagle is being listed on the endangered species list. Now, it only covered the birds south of the 40th parallel, so basically our border with Canada. And it would take some time before DDT would be banned. But eventually in 1972, we finally did it. We finally banned DDT in the United States. In the United States. Then, with lots of work, we eventually got a population high enough that we downlisted them to just threatened. Now, in my home state of that is my understanding. I don't know how true that is today. I would have to go in and check. But in my home state of Indiana, the bald eagle was extinct in the wild. They were not nesting in our state at that point. No nest meant no babies. Now, you could still see bald eagles because they would come to Indiana to winter. So basically they would show up in November to May and then leave. In 1985, the DNR in Indiana decided we're going to bring back the bald eagle. And so in 1985, they started the bald eagle reintroduction program. And a total of 73 birds were gathered up. Now, these eaglets were all around the same age, between 7 to 8 weeks of age. Those 73 birds were eventually released at the lake at which they were raised. Now, something you may not know is that bald eagles will return to the area in which they were raised within 50 to 100 miles of that location. Now, it would take a few years before these birds would be old enough to start nesting. And the first nest in Indiana would take place in 1991. Keep in mind that the last nest made in my state was 1897. That was the last successful nest, meaning that nest hatched eaglets. Now, this program would continue for a few more years until in 2020, we had over 350 eagles' nests scattered across the state. Then, in 2015, sorry, I'm backtracking a little bit, but in 2015, there were 200 to 250 eagles' nests reported. But the question on my mind, and probably your mind as well, is the threat over? And I very sadly have to report, no, it is not. Sadly, there are still things that impact our national bird. For those of you who may be watching us from out of the country, yes, bald eagles are United States national bird. Lead bullets and lead fishing weights or fishing tackle still impact our birds. Now, if you don't know, lead is a very serious toxic metal. In a body, it can lead to nervous system issues as well as affecting the reproductive system. It can cause balance and coordination issues. These issues may make the birds weak and emaciated. Lead poisoning can lead to a unaliving in just 2 to 3 weeks. So if we can catch it, we might be able to do something about it. Lead poisoning can also stunt growth, as well as causes to them being more apt to be preyed upon, to experience physical trauma, and it can lead to more diseases on top of that. So, where does this lead come from? Well, they're going to get it by ingesting fish, because think about it, when you're fishing, that some of that lead gets into the water because you lose bait or you lose your tackle in the water. That lead gets in there and the fish ingest it, especially bottom feeders. And that lead has to go somewhere. So keep in mind that, like DDT, lead accumulates in the body. And it will affect eagles, other animals, including people. So, and sad to say, there isn't any level at which lead is safe. Our national bird is also sometimes the target of mean-spirited people who not only shoot the birds with guns, but also sometimes with bow and arrow. So no, the world is definitely not safe for the bald eagle. But we are not done yet. In 1995, the bald eagle was reclassified to just threatened in the lower 48 states. And it was estimated at that point that there were 4,712 nesting pairs in the lower 48 states. In 1999, there were 5,748 nesting pairs. So just 4 years later, the bald eagle would be delisted. That means they removed it from the Endangered Species Act. But the birds, and again, I'm not sure on these numbers, but it said that it was at 5,748 pairs. Officially, however, the bird was not removed from the list till October 8th, 2007. So a lot more than just that 4 years. I tried to find an estimated population of bald eagles. So this is what I got. Estimated population of bald eagles in the lower 48 states of the United States puts them at around 316,700 birds. That amounts to 71,400 nesting pairs. Now, this number could vary greatly, as I'm not sure when this estimation was made. That, ladies and gentlemen, is our conservation success story on the bald eagle. We are trying to protect it. Now, I want to say that if you go to a zoo and you see bald eagles in the zoo, most of those birds are going to be victims of something, meaning that they can't be released back into the wild. So zoos will take them in if they cannot be rehabilitated and put back into the wild. So if you ever see bald eagles in your local zoo, that is why. So that takes that one out. Carol. Yeah. Carol, can you do me a never mind, I can look it up. So my number must have been pretty close to that number. How is that going to work? Just as a reminder, on the other channel, I'm going live tomorrow at 7 p.m. The subject is Potawatomi Zoo, Zoo to Do. We have a Learn to Care on Saturday. It's on the Santa Catalina rattlesnake. And then, and I don't know how this is going to happen, but we're going to be discussing a relationship with Santa and some native, some organism that I'm not going to mention at this time. December 26th, I have the history of carols, which poses a problem because I also have, on that same date, a conservation spotlight on the red wolf. Now, we will be revisiting this subject coming up, I think, in March. I don't think it's a conservation spotlight. I think it's a conservation success story on the northern bald ibis. But we do have some really cool things coming up. I need to expand this list greatly. Okay, if you have questions or comments that you want to throw at me, now is the time to do it. Hello, whoever just came in. Happy to have you. If you have not given the like alive, please. Oh my gosh. My brain. If you have not given the live a like, you're doing something wrong and you need to make up for it. So give it a like. But we will be covering, because this channel should have 4 or 5. So over the next month, I guess I can do that, right? I can tell you what's coming up. We have a conservation spotlight on the 26th. January 2nd, carnivores in my collection from North and South America. Conservation success story, olive ridley sea turtle. Oh my goodness. Wow. That's not good. Conservation success story, olive ridley sea turtle. African predators in my collection, and Asian herbivores in my collection, and then animals of the Arctic. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know if that's in my collection or just in general. Do you want what's coming up in the new year for the other channel? That is just ridiculous, Marie, but I've heard of stuff like that happening. I've seen x-rays of eagles that have been shot in the wings with arrows. It's really pathetic. I will be posting every week yeah, it's nothing to brag about. I'm glad they caught him. And yes, it would be a federal crime. It's not going to be a state crime. Wow. Yeah, I would think so. I wonder if that 100,000 is per bird, because if it is, wow. So, upcoming lives for the other channel include the history of carols on the 26th, December 28th, exploring nature, northern cardinal, December 31st, New Year's Eve, dragons, a myth based on facts, January 3rd, on the other channel, exploring nature, river otters, January 4th, learn to care brown bears, including subspecies, but not in any great detail. January 7th, extinct animals. We're going to be looking at the Pinta giant tortoise and the mountain mist frog. January 10th, exploring nature, Irish animals. January 14th, zoo to do. We are looking at a zoo in, I believe it's New Mexico. January 17th, learn to care, Atlantic cod. A little bit different there. January 18th, we are doing an organism picture guessing game. Yeah, that should be fun. Exploring, and by the way, that is subscriber only. January 18th. January 21st, exploring nature, loggerhead shrike. January 24th, a closer look, freshwater jellyfish, followed by a learn to care on the 25th. That is hooded seal. January 28th, zoo to do, Arizona Sonora Desert Museum. And January 31st, extinct animal Spix macaw. So that is what is coming up in January. We will be doing another thing of subscriber week. that will be happening also in January for the other channel. I'd like to do that on this channel, but that's not the way this channel operates. The next animal for next week on this channel, the next review, and if you haven't watched the review for this week, do it. It needs views. And if you don't know about this channel, I do one video a week, and it's a review of one of my animal figures on the shelf behind me. This week, we talked about the lynx. Next week, we are doing the mega mouth shark, one of my favorite species of sharks. So, that will be happening. And there will be 4 shorts following that. They're really cool. They're under a minute, or should be under a minute. So it's not taking up a lot of time. If you're watching those, great. I should probably be bad and tell you that. Hi, Fernando 120. I don't know. I think she's still here. I'll message her and find out. Freddie? You want me to call you Freddie? So for those of you who don't know, I have a separate channel that is way bigger than this one. And we will be starting subscriber week, I think, today or tomorrow. The first video for that will be talking about subscriber week. She's good. She's here. And what it is. And it will be several weeks throughout the different months. All of the video ideas were given by people, members of my channel. We're going to start off, like I said, with what basically it is. And then we're going to move into Moz as a group. And then we will be going into the Great Tit. It's supposed to be the Blue Tit, and I messed up. I will do that one, fit it in somehow. European Robin. Poisonous Plants Foxglove, The Sad Truth on Animal Farms, or of Animal Farms, followed by Chestnuts, A History of Chestnuts, which I will be honest, there was stuff I didn't know. I will say, and I've mentioned this with Carol, and this really belongs on the other channel. Sometimes I feel like the history ofs are not as good as they could be. The following week, after this week, we are going to be looking at Arctic fox as a good pet, venomous mammals, squid on the outside, eggplants, the history of, Dimetrodon as a prehistoric creature, the Star of Bethlehem as a poisonous plant, and Wells catfish as an invasive. You know, though, that tradition carried over to the United States. Fun fact. At one time, we were harvesting 20 million chestnuts a year. But we'll talk about that in the video. Believe it or not, believe it or not, I have planned a crazy amount of videos. I think we're good on videos through at least September of next year. I think. And I think we have, Carol, I think we have, for lives, we go through April for the other channel. I do need to work on lives for this channel. And I want to start doing premieres for videos. But I will not be doing those at midnight. So if I do a video premiere, it will be done during the week. Because I'm not staying up to midnight to do it. July. And I will be adding a month here pretty soon, because once December is done, then I need to add a month. And another thing that you may not know, sort of behind the scenes stuff, and again, this really belongs on the other channel, but Carol is my go-to person. So she helps me go through and decide what zoos we're going to do for a zoo to do. And believe it or not every zoo is good for zoo to-dos. Some of them just don't have anything. So we have to weed them out. And it can take a half hour to 15 minutes to find one good one. And we will not be doing those for the European zoos, because Carol probably will tell you. What is your local zoo, Marie? Because basically what we've been doing is the AZA zoos. And we just did the Bronx not too long ago. So right now, we do have zoos planned that we haven't done yet. Oh no. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. So we have I can never pronounce it. Albuquerque? We have the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum in January, and I just messed up. We average at least one or two every month, basically. February, we are doing the Shed Aquarium. And we're also doing these exhibit focuses. And I think the next one, Carol, if I'm not mistaken, is the Africarium, or however you pronounce it, which is this huge African exhibit. Michael! They are climbing. Long time no see. Glad to see you're still with us. Hey, as long as they're really subscribers and not bots, I'm happy. We're going to be doing the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo in March. That will be subscriber only on that one. We have the Henry Villa Zoo in April. Excuse me. Ooh. Happy holidays, Michael. Somebody's going to be upset that they missed you. Yeah, but that's a habitat focus. It's a different type of exhibit. I love doing these exhibits. They are the best. Some of the exhibit focuses that are coming up: Kingdom of the Night at Henry Dorley Zoo. Amazon and Beyond at Zoo Miami. We are going to be doing a habitat focus in April. It's on the chimney smokers down in the ocean depths. We have another habitat focus, Galapagos and the vulture aviary in Europe. Then another one that features Glacier Run in Hippo Bay, the Akron Zoo, Gems of the Jungle from Europe, and Sanctuary Asia. Not sure what zoo that's in. Zoo to Do Fort Worth, and the Indianapolis Zoo. Zoo to Do. Exhibit Focus, Life on the Rocks and the Penguin Hood. Zoo to Do, St. Louis Zoo. Habitat Focus, Toyota Elephant Passage and the Itasha House. Zoo to Do, Toledo Zoo. And we have 2 dates that are open in July. The Elmwood Park Zoo will be a Zoo to Do. But again, it is not scheduled. So that is where we are at. That is what is really big coming up. We do have a bunch of subscriber-only things that are coming up. We have a couple of Zoom calls that we're going to be doing. One will be July 15th. I think it's Look Park, I think is what she said. So that is what's coming up for the channel. If you have ideas that you want to throw out to me, you can do that on Twitter. I think you have to get subscribe. I don't know if I have on this channel. But if you have ideas, let me know. You can always put those out. I'm open to them. Kind of have to be. Carol and Marie. Carol, we need to talk after the live. And it is almost 8 o'clock, so I'm going to be cutting this one off at 8 o'clock. We have 4 minutes, so if you do have anything else that you want to add, do it quickly. Shorts, by the way, are up for the other channel. If you have ideas for lives, you can put those out on Twitter. Eventually, but some of that happens even in the zoos to an extent. Especially in cases where the rehabbers can't keep them, because they do sometimes have to have room for other stuff. Interesting. Well, if it's a herd, that makes sense. Oh, that would be cool. I love seeing eagles. We have a local zoo, maybe 2 local zoos or 3 that house eagles. I think Lincoln Park does. I think Brookfield does or did. And Washington Park Zoo, which is a small zoo, also has them. Anything else? Oh my. I need to make sure I have more water when I do these. By the way, I don't know if you've seen it yet on the news, but Amazon workers possibly are going on strike. I am horrified. Barred owls are so cool. Okay, it is 8 o'clock. If you have nothing else, I am going to say goodbye because I have other stuff that I need to get done. Hard to believe it, but I do. So I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for coming in. Live next week, believe, is from the collection, I think. So have a good night, everybody. Take care. I will see you before Christmas. And with that, I will talk to you peeps later. Goodbye.